Welcome to ETH Daily, a daily briefing on the latest in Ethereum. Here's your latest for Monday, December 1st, 2025. Yearn Finance suffers an exploit on its yETH pool. Yearn recovers $2.4 million. The Ethereum beacon chain turns 5. And Amundi launches a tokenized fund on Ethereum. All this and more starts right after this message. This episode is sponsored by Archive, an Ethereum-aligned data layer for Web3. Archive merges guarantees of blockchain with the performance and flexibility of traditional databases. Find out more at archive.network/daily. Yearn Finance suffered an exploit on its yETH StableSwap pool, resulting in approximately $9 million in losses. On November 30th at 21:11 UTC, an attacker exploited a math-related vulnerability in the pool's custom StableSwap implementation, enabling them to overmint yETH LP tokens. The attacker then redeemed the LP tokens, draining the underlying wrapped ETH and various liquid staking tokens from affected balancer and curve pools. After the exploit, the attacker deposited 1,000 ETH into Tornado Cash in 100 ETH increments. The remaining stolen LSTs have not been sold. Yearn contributor Banteg published a preliminary post-mortem attributing the root cause to a subtle bug in the pool's supply solver logic within a custom version of the curve-style StableSwap code. Yearn's V2 and V3 vaults were not affected. In coordination with the Plume and Dinero teams, Yearn successfully recovered 857 PX ETH worth $2.4 million from the exploiter's wallet. PX ETH, one of the several liquid staking tokens held in the legacy yETH StableSwap pool, was recovered using a burn and mint mechanism that burned the tokens from the attacker's address. The attacker still holds roughly $3.6 million in remaining LSTs, primarily Fraxed Ether, rETH, Wrapped stETH, and cbETH. Recovery efforts for the remaining assets are ongoing. Yearn said all recovered assets will be returned to users. Today marks 5 years since Ethereum's beacon chain launched to mainnet, with its Genesis block activated on December 1st, 2020. At its inception, the beacon chain saw approximately 500,000 ETH deposited on its first day. Today, over 35.6 million Ether, representing 29.5% of the total ETH supply, is staked on the beacon chain, supported by more than 10,000 node operators. The beacon chain has maintained 100% uptime since its launch. On September 15th of 2022, it merged seamlessly with Ethereum's execution layer, marking the network's complete transition from proof-of-work to proof-of-stake. And lastly, Amundi, Europe's largest asset manager with over $2.6 trillion in assets under management, launched the first tokenized share class of an existing euro-denominated money market fund on Ethereum. The structure allows European investors to choose between the traditional fund or the new on-chain fund with shares and transactions recorded directly on Ethereum. The fund invests in short-term euro-denominated debt instruments. In other news, the Ethereum Foundation's zkID team introduces OpenAC, Lodestar releases maintenance version 1.37.0, and Ethereum researcher Tony Warstater says 6-second slots are ready to be shipped next year. This has been a roundup of today's top news stories in Ethereum. You can support this podcast by subscribing and following us at ETH Daily. Also subscribe to our newsletter at ethdaily.io.